Okay, Michael, get things underway. My name's Jin-Oh Choi. I'm from the Launceston Skeptics. I'll apologise in advance for a bit of slice clutter, but hopefully that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Okay, I guess I should start off. Some of you might be wondering what the skeptics and my bodies were. How many of you have actually been to a body and health festival? So you've been to. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. How long have you been there? What was the longest period you were?
Richard Saunders took me, so I had to stay till he left. So by the time it argued with everybody, I think it was 2 to 3 hours. Quite a depressing afternoon.
Yeah. Anyone been to one longer than that? I just want you to hold it 2 to 3 hour number again. I'll just do a quick introduction about the Launceston Skeptics. We're a group of 20 of us. That's just a photo from TAM in 2009 where we actually got half of our group to attend. We actually had 10 people, and this was like about after it takes us 7 months up and running, so we have to get good through that. We started in February 27th of 2010, that according to anyway. That was just prior to the 2010 ACES conference here in Melbourne, so that's how it all started. It was originally going to be an ACES group, but I then abandoned that group out there. We meet twice a month. Like most groups, we meet on the first and third Thursday of each month. We have a social gathering, and we also have a formal talk as well. So, at the moment, we've had more social gatherings and we've had formal talks, because it's fairly hard to get people to come down to Tasmania to come to us. So yeah, we do have a good bar where they give us discounts on all our drinks as well. We also have what's called Skeptical Sunday, which we do that on an ad hoc basis, just for those people who can't make it to a regular Thursday nights. So because we do have a number of single parents and also skeptics who've got kids, so the Thursday night's not appropriate, so normally that's a Sunday morning, Sunday lunch. But it's also just there to target another group of people to come along. And we also do trivia nights as well, where we actually go along to a number of the other trivia nights around town, and we'll just enter a team under the name of Launceston Skeptics, just to increase the name recognition across the board. Now, the whole idea of the Body and Soul Festival, I don't know if many people have, and earlier I asked whether many people have actually gone there. We had one of our members decide to, at our meeting at the pub, decide, okay, let's go along to the next one in March. The only problem is he had a slightly different idea. Rather than just going along to it, like Maynard's done and Rich Thorne, we decided to have a stall inside. So we decided to, we weren't really a Trojan horse. In our case, we were just knocking on the door, hoping they'll let us in. So we actually contemplated this for about half an hour, 45 minutes. Just like, would they actually let us in the door? As you can expect, we've sort of got in mind, no, they're not going to let us in. If they've been to, or if they've seen other events, they've seen skeptics come along, we're just there to ruin the fun. So we thought we had no hope of getting inside the door. So what we actually prepared a short, just a participation guidelines. It wasn't really anything. It was just something for them to say, okay, we're not going to antagonise anyone. We just there to provide information. It took me about 5 minutes to write that up. So it was really for them just to say we're not going to go up to people. They had to come to us if they wanted information. So just to be there, just to let them know that we're just there to be an information point. Okay, we'll look at earlier on I asked again, maybe how many hours we went to on 3 hours. The body and soul was over 3 days, from 9 till 6 o'clock. So if you do the maths, that was 27 hours. I actually spent all that time there. I actually spent more time there. Because all this get up and post-event. Because there's a lot of, the other thing is, unlike most of the other stores, we wanted to make sure that we took our stuff back at the end of each day, because we weren't really going to trust them with any of our equipment or materials. So in light of that, the 3 hours, my other, that was going to be my permanent title of this talk. And I can say, if you even spending 1 hour, 2 hours with some of these people, if you've got to spend 27, constantly just telling people why such and such a store 3 is wrong, or such and such. That was the number one question we were actually asked. We were actually asked, what's wrong with store number 4? What's wrong with store number 6? That's all the questions we were being. So we did have quite a bit of impact in that way. What they were doing, they were just asking us our opinion. And what we were also saying, we don't want you to just take our information and take it as gospel. We had resources as well. So our aim was just to educate them and also tell them, okay, go and look for information yourself. Because the last thing we want to do is, just because the skeptics say it goes this way, we don't want them to treat it as that our information is gold. We want to make sure that, we've got to make sure that they've got an open mind and they're asking for that information themselves, rather than just being told that our way is the right way. The next thing I'll put, we had quite a bit of coverage over the actual body of health festival. There were actually 2 articles in our paper for the actual festival itself, but on both of the articles, the actual skeptics were mentioned as the lead topic. So the actual festival itself didn't actually receive any publicity unless our name was in it. So that was great. So then the lead article, this was on the Thursday, just before the first on the Sunday. So we were mentioned, we were getting phone calls from the other media outlets, the radio, all that as well, because they were actually contacting, I believe, on ABC radio, the organiser was actually contacted, and the first the first question that she was actually asked, so how did it feel to have this skeptics along? Rather than anything about this festival whatsoever, that was a very question. So I thought that was good, the way the media was sort of putting it in such a way that it wasn't the festival that was of interest, it was actually our involvement. Okay, so that's the store there, so it's just nice and simple. We had it took us a lot of time just to get organised all the material. I should say now that I'd like to thank both the Victorian Skeptics and the Australian Skeptics as well for sending us information. So they were sending us magazines, flyers, and brochures. We also had in books actually sent us bookmarks as well, just to get people to go online, search for information. One of the things we actually there's a photo of us smiling right at the start of the event. I don't know if many of us were smiling at the end of it. We were at the pub for quite a large amount of time after the event. So that was, and one of the things, as I was saying, we were there for 27,000 total. You multiplied that by at least 3 people, because we wanted to make sure that no one was left on their own. Because the last thing you want in that environment is to be left on your own. We had, so we actually had, at sometimes up to 4 to 5 people, actually, so even though people were only scheduled in 3-hour blocks, they were actually coming along for other times as well. Because they wanted to see, well, what else was happening? And also it was fun. One of the things we actually did, we actually produced about 9 different flyers, which were the Thinker's Guide 2. So we had things like the Thinker's Guide to Oral Photography. Just sort of, so what we'd do, we'd get them to, we first put the claim of oral photography and then put some resources below just to explain what type of work. So we sort of tried to target sort of arranging the stores which were there, so we could, so there were things like, that was just a general one on critical thinking. Homeopathy was I'll pause here for a moment. I've actually got a story about homeopathy. We actually had a single mother who came across to our store. She was in her early 20s, and obviously this was, she just had her first child. And she decided to, one of the stores actually sold homeopathic vaccinations at the store itself. And that kind of scared me, because I was hoping they should been to a doctor to discuss all of that. But it looked like she hadn't actually been to a doctor, so that was just her information. I was actually quite surprised that they were actually having it just around the corner. So what actually we actually had a similar flyer for homeopathy and also vaccinations. So we had to give both sides of the story, what is homeopathy, and also the arguments people have against vaccinations. When she gave her those 2 flyers, we had about a brief conversation for about 5-10 minutes. She actually went back to the store and got a refund back. Based on that. The other side of that story was that I actually gave, I do IT as my day job. I actually do a lot of support for doctor surgeries. I actually gave her the number of one of my clients. I found her that 3 days afterwards, she'd actually called the surgery to actually get the vaccination done for her child. So that's just something small, but you can see what sort of impact that you have on people. So you don't have to be over the top, you don't have to be in their face. All we were there for was just providing information. So it just shows you that even just the tiny exercise can help out a lot. We had other things like psychic readings. The psychic reading area of the audience would have been about 25% of the floor. We had an interesting conversation with the organiser, and she was saying they were trying to get rid of the fake psychic readings. So they thought our involvement would sort of turn away the fake ones. Then mythology, in general ones about skepticism, just about spotting a bogus claim, just to make sure people understand, well, is it really that, just to making sure that they're using this critical thinking, that they're using common sense when they're making decisions. Vaccination, just going back to the early topic. What's the harm of just explaining to people that what these people are doing is they're trying to get your money, so they're trying to make profit, they're not really there to help you. It was just emphasising there saying that a lot of people were saying, oh, if it's not going to hurt you, why should we bother? It's not a real issue. But we just had access to resources just to show them, okay, this is what happens when you use homeopathy to treat your cancer, to treat your illnesses. If they don't work, you get sick more, and it makes it harder for the doctor to help you out. We were going to do one on applied methodology. The reason why we should have done it in hindsight, directly across from us, there was an applied kinesiologist. They had 3 sort of, I think, massage beds there, and they were doing, I'll sort of step out the front, they were doing some sort of movement where they place their hand above the body, step in and out, sort of as a way to extract the bad energy. I think we ended up saying that they were doing the hokey pokey and all that was left foot in, left foot out. Yeah, that was just a bit of fun for us to see what was happening. Okay, we also had, while we were there, we also had a website just dedicated to the event, and I don't have the internet on my machine, but I've got a cached copy because I knew that we may not have internet access. Basically what I did was, as you can see, I'm not a great word designer. I just wanted it for information purposes, but what we had below was just information that we were related to on that day. So we had all of our flyers, so they were copied there, so if they wanted they could download one that they haven't had. We also had resources back to the training skeptics. We also had links to online forums, other organisations, so the other state branches, and also information that could be relevant to them that they might find interesting, and also links to various podcasts, etc. So that resource is actually online at the moment, so you can actually see that site. So if you've got anything that you want to add,
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, I shall skip ahead. Yeah, so that again, just a close up. This was the second article that came out, and as you can see, body involved in total skepticism. I will say this one, I do actually know the reporter involved in the story, so my knowledge of knowing the reporter may have helped. But as you can see, it's and again, that was all the media coverage that they had, just our involvement. So anything they mentioned, the Asian Festival had our name associated with it, and it also, if you went online to do a search for the Involved Festival, a link back to our site actually showed up as a thread and every 4 links coming back to us. So I kind of flooded the internet at that time. What do we do? Yeah, for those of you who haven't actually been one, I just thought I'd light up some photos that's up there, just so you've got proof that we were actually there. So I know we all want evidence to that fact. And also another one from another angle, just to be sure. And one of the quotes that she used was that we were the one of the reason in a sea of unicorns, fairies, or whatever other mystical animals that you want to impose on that group. Yeah, just another random shot. Any questions, comments?
Yeah. Hey Jen, I've got a couple of questions.
Yep.
Okay, first, did you have any luck getting more people to go along to your Launceston Skeptics in the pub as a direct result of doing this?
Yeah, we started off, at that stage we only had about 9 or 10 people.
Yeah.
At the meetings after where she tripled that. Or actually 30 people that showed up to the next event. And we still have a fairly large turnout, not as much, but we're around the 20 odd mark at the moment.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
And question number 2, you said to the organizers that you wouldn't go out and directly say to people this is why all the others are wrong.
Yep.
Was there anything you saw there which was bad enough that you felt like going up to the Richard Saunders style and say, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, the applied methodology, which was right in front of us, they actually, we had actually seen an infant, a baby, I think she was only a few months old, and as part of the one, they were actually moving the neck. So they were actually reaching over, doing turns like that on the body. That's something you don't want to see, and not even a doctor would do that. So that sort of sharp movement of the head, backward, I'm not quite sure exactly what purpose was, but those sort of things are shocking. It's not something that you want to see. And we saw that about 3 or 4 times. The other thing that we saw is, I don't know whether you know about those bugs that they have that are supposed to drain out all your negative energy. When she got one of those, they actually turned it on. Yeah, turned it on, left it there, got people just to see what was happening. So that is really there.
Did you face any hostility? Did your stand face any hostility or comments or people sort of proactively approaching you to have a go at you?
Not really.
Okay.
We did have some sort of, it was more so asking questions of why we were there. And our normal responsibility were paying customer like everyone else. So we had to pay the fee to actually have a school. It actually cost the group $400 for us to actually have a school, and then on top of the other costs that we had, including banners and things like that. So it wasn't a cheap exercise, but after we had the core group there, we were ready to chip in.
Okay, folks, please give Jin-Oh a hand.
Quickly, I do have a couple t-shirts here to give out. Now, the reason why I've got these t-shirts here, these are the same ones that I'm wearing. But yeah, it's just marketing ploy for me. But the idea is what I'm going to do is I'll give these 2 t-shirts to anyone who will commit to maybe their group, or if you haven't started up your own skeptics group and there is one nearby, maybe start one up yourself, or maybe have a stall at the next Body and Soul Festival, or have another skeptic camp. So it's a bit of incentive there.
So your incentive is for someone to start some activity,
Yep.
some skeptical activity where there currently is none.
Yep. And
Anyone stepping up for that? If you think of anything, see Jin-Oh throughout the day and he can help you out. Hand for Jin-Oh.